Welcome to another episode of Eric's Perspective. Joining me today is Angela Robinson Witherspoon. Angela, thank you so much for joining us, and it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you for inviting me, Eric. It's a joy to be here.
Yes, and what I didn't say is you're an accomplished artist, filmmaker, actor, and so on. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, let's start from the beginning. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Washington, D.C., but I met Diane Carroll once, and she said, I'm no big deal. So I always like to say that. I'm no big deal. Just a young girl from Washington who wanted to be in the arts. And I made it.
Excellent. Yes. Just as a little side point, I remember Diane was a host early on in my gallery career. She was one of the hosts of our early exhibitions.
She was beautiful.
She was a wonderful
What
person.
a sweetheart.
And a pioneer, right? In the television. I mean,
Who is Julia?
Who's Julia, right? Yeah.
The kids don't remember that now, but it was a beacon of light for a young girl that wanted to be an actress or in the film business.
Absolutely. So what attracted you to the arts, and do you recall when that happened, and what was the first art? I mean, there's a lot of art you're interested in, and that's a beautiful thing, but where did you start?
We're both from Washington, D.C., so when I was in the 4th grade, I got identified as, slightly gifted, and so I went over to Hearst Elementary School to the honors program. And Mrs. Dunn would let me out of new math to do her bulletin boards. So I figured out that if I could do this art and this design, I was going to get away with something, And so all through elementary school, Mrs. Webb in 5th grade and Mrs. Dunn in the 6th grade, they were like, oh, I can't wait till Angela's in my class and she'll do my billboards. So it was the water system and Thanksgiving and the Pilgrims. And I never did learn that new math, did you?
I did not know. And I think we both grew up around the same time as well. You're right. I was born in D.C. and raised just outside of D.C. And I was in Southeast is where my family was, but you were, I think, was it Northeast?
I was in Northwest.
Northwest.
Yeah.
Near the Carter Barron you were
Near the Carter Barron. Yeah. My dad was at the National Labor Relations Board for 17 years. And then when Johnson got in office and said we're going to open up the Great Society and give some of these jobs to some qualified folks, my mother went, Robbie, that's you. And so he became the labor attaché to the Netherlands when I was 12 years old. We moved to The Hague. Ik sprak heel Hollands en jij, wat weer dat ik zeg, hoor. Ik ben van allemaal 3 jaar in.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. What did you just say?
I said I was in The Hague for 3 years, I speak a little Dutch.
You sounds like you speak it very fluently.
It's enough to get away with a good cocktail joke, But, the joke is the Dutch don't even speak Dutch. Those kids learn French and Latin and German and English starting in kindergarten.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So we moved to the Netherlands when I was 12, and I went to Paris and to the Louvre, I think, that first year.
Oh, wow. So you had an early exposure to some...
Yeah, my dad took us to the Louvre, and then one summer to the Prado, and another summer to Italy and to Pisa and to Florence to the Academy.
Oh, no kidding.
So we were always looking at art, but my father thought it was an avocation, not a vocation.
See, that's something I encounter a lot when I'm talking to people and just thinking about my own parents. It's one thing to admire the output of an artist, but it's another when it's your own child.
Yeah, we don't want you to do that.
No.
We want you to be a lawyer.
Exactly. Or a doctor, right?
And if you're really low, go and be a dentist.
Yeah, we're definitely, left brain oriented, I guess?
Yeah.
So,
well, my whole family is lawyers and doctors and psychiatrists and plastic surgeons, so I'm the rebel.
Okay.
I'm the one that rolled out to the West Coast with all the coconuts.
I love that. So how was that with your family, though? How did they respond to you sort of swimming upstream, so to speak?
Well, I snuck it up on them. I went to Antioch because Eldridge Cleaver and Abby Hoffman had gone there. And so the work study program allowed me to go to school a semester and work a semester. So my first work semester, I worked at the National Portrait Gallery in the morning and at the Washington Post in the art department in the afternoon.
Oh.
So I had jobs, but they were in the arts.
I see.
And then I took some classes in New York at Pratt, and I worked for Ida Lewis at Encore magazine, and I was doing paste up and stuff like that. And the girl next to me doing editorial was a young woman named Nikki Giovanni.
Nikki Giovanni,
Yeah.
as we all know, an accomplished poet and so forth.
Yeah, so I just kept feeding them little pieces of, I'm going to go to school, but I'm going to do art. I'm going to go to school, but I'm going to date a musician. I'm going to go to school, but...
Yeah. So they gradually got accustomed to it, or was there any pushback?
We had some tough years. My dad was upset for a while because
yeah.
he thought I should have been more like Barbara Jordan.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, there was no connection for me there.
That's the thing. One has to follow one's heart, right?
Yeah, but I still am interested in politics, and I'm interested in Washington. I raised money for Kamala and Joe Biden.
Okay.
So I have my little pinky in there.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't want to be the one out front.
The actual politician, you mean?
No,
Right.
I can't pass the security check.
I love it. So just winding back again, so how long were you guys living in the Netherlands, by the way?
We were there for 3 years, but George Romney came, Mitt Romney's father.
Yeah.
He took one look at my dad, because now Nixon is in. He goes, "You're not a Republican, are you?" My father goes, "No, sir." So we got yanked home after 3 years. Oh, wow. Yeah, but I had 8th, 9th, and 10th grade there, and I had a good time.
So when you were going through, were you taking art classes at all when you were in the Netherlands, or was that a part of the curriculum?
I feel like I do have a charcoal somewhere of a windmill.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I always took art. I always took art and ceramics. I was showing somebody a little coil pot that I made in high school. So, yeah, I feel like I was always interested in art and always doing art, and I still paint.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I've sold a few paintings over the years, but I haven't worked hard at the politics of it.
Yeah, that could be a little tricky for sure. Yeah. Now, when you say politics of it, do you mean the content or just dealing with the apparatus? Because, in the art world, there's museums with the curators, and then you got commercial galleries and so forth. As
a professional artist, you have your practice.
Right.
So you have to get up every morning and paint or make something. Or every week. Our dear Betty is still painting. She's making art.
Yeah, and what you're referring to, by the way, for the audience, is Betye Saar, right? She's in her 90s.
At the young age of 97.
97.
She is still making art.
Yes.
Yeah. During the pandemic, she made watercolors.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
We'll get more into Betty later, but I'm just curious, did she explain what attracted her to watercolors during that period?
Just that it was easy.
Oh, okay.
She had the wherewithal in her studio. She's locked in the house for safety.
Sure.
And she had watercolors, and she wasn't able to go to the flea market and find objects. So she just started painting her collection of baby dolls, African dolls. African, little rag dolls.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
By the way, we should let everybody know that Between the Two of Us is a Betye Saar piece.
Yes.
Might as well, at this moment anyway, introduce the piece itself. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
This is a washboard from 1997. It's called I'm Gonna Kick Some Ofe Ass. Now, you young people don't know what that means. I don't want to tell you to go look it up. But it's a synonym for cracker.
Right. And some people may not even know, the younger folks may not even understand what that is either, right? It's like
then they got to go look it up.
They got to go look it up, okay.
But it has the little gun in there. Betty, started making these Aunt Jemima pieces as an answer to the killing of Dr. King. And she was in her kitchen raising her 3 little girls, and she was wondering, how can I get involved in the civil rights movement? Mm-hmm. So she did her famous piece, The Liberation of Aunt Jemima.
Right.
And then this is the late 90s, when she revisited the theme of Aunt Jemima and said, we still need to be warriors. We still need to be rebels. We still almost need to take up arms against racism and this kind of hatred that is part of the underbelly of our great country.
Yes, unfortunately. And it kind of shows itself as maybe even a backlash. So one hopeful thing was when President Obama was elected the president, and my mother was still alive at the time. I just will always remember that, I was very proud of her. She was always very politically motivated. She was she worked at the polls, and she grew up when seeing those signs, colored only, and that kind of thing. And you walk down the street, you couldn't look a white person in the eye. You had to cast your eyes down and all that. So she went. So I think she was pretty skeptical that this country was capable of doing that, and then yet in her lifetime, he was elected. It was a very positive time.
Yeah, I had some relatives that were hit for Hillary, and I had to tell them, you're on the wrong train. You better get over here with Barack.
And I what I think it was a shock on many levels. I think she had the momentum, she had the name recognition, and the next
my
thing,
cousin said the high school senior from Chicago is not going to be the president, Barack Atako, whatever his name is. And I said, okay, well, I'm working for him, and I suggest you come on over here with me because we're getting ready to go to the White House. Right. That was an exciting time, and I remember I was at one reception with Mr. Obama before he was president, and we were in the receiving line, and Betye was with me, and so of course he took a moment, hi, Granny, how are you? And I said, hey, this is Betye Saar. And he said, oh, I know what that is. I've got culture. Hello, Betye Saar. Thank you so much for everything you've done for the community. And he snapped right to attention. So I met him a couple of times, and he was always a lot of fun and very engaging.
Yes, one other thing about him too is, so my wife is from Illinois. He was the senator there, and so while he was still senator, he came actually to L.A. I forgot now, it was maybe a book signing or something like that. And at the time, she had just had surgery on her knee, and she was kind of hobbling. And she offered up the book for him to sign, and he graciously signed it. And it was very gracious and so forth. And then smash cut, years later, he's the president, and she has access to him, and she meets him a second time. He actually remembered her.
He has a wonderful memory.
It was amazing. She was so impressed. How's your leg? And her name and everything.
Wow.
It was remarkable. He was a remarkable person.
Get to be president by being a dummy.
No. Well, I won't go there. I was getting ready to say some other people have proven that you possibly can, but not Obama, though.
Yeah, that's true. We can't. The bar isn't as high as it used to be.
I'm like, okay, so we'll shift gears a little bit back to, so back when you were in school, you were taking art classes, but eventually you got into acting. How did that happen?
Well, we're skipping around, but I was an editor for a national magazine, and the photographer said you could be a model. I was 21, and I was skinny. And I said I could, and so I got a modeling agent, and I was with Eileen Ford in New York. And then my roommate became this young girl from Pennsylvania named Sharon Stone. And so Sharon and I both went to acting class, because where do old models go? They go to TV. And this is the late 70s, early 80s. My first speaking part was in a film called 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
And it came because it was Joel Silver's birthday, the producer, and Sharon didn't want to go to Morton's or someplace for dinner. And he said, well, Angela, will you go? So I said, sure, I'll go. And so dinner was Eddie Murphy, Walter Hill, the director, Nick Nolte, Joel Silver, myself. And I think there was one other girl, and I did my Dutch trick.
I bet that impressed them, right?
Yeah, they howled. And so Walter Hill said, give me that girl, that black girl that speaks Dutch.
Oh, really? So that got you the part?
That got me the part. And Joel said, be at Paramount tomorrow at 7:30. And I said, what for? You're in the movie, kid. You're in the movie. So, Eddie was just coming off of Saturday Night Live. And so I was like, I don't know him. But it turned out he was talented.
Yeah. Turned into a superstar, yeah.
Yeah, and then he called me again for another film with Ralph Macchio called Crossroads, and Sharon took off, and then I met John on a film in 1986 called Kidnapped.
John, your husband?
My husband, John Witherspoon.
Okay.
Yeah, so it just... I had always done theater in school, but I hadn't really thought about it that hard as a career, but I kind of stumbled into it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, your description, I mean, you're at dinner and you start speaking. That was super impressive what you just did a little while ago, though, by the way. That was amazing. And
thank you.
And do you speak any other languages, by the way?
Mais oui, baby, je parle très bien français avec un accent parisien.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Vous parlez français? Un petit peu?
Un peu.
I really can speak pretty good French. Tony's here, so he'll tell you how good my French is or how bad it is.
Yeah.
But my real trick is to speak a little Italian.
Okay.
Tanti baci. which means lots of little kisses.
Ah, okay.
So you say that to the guy you want to come over.
Ah.
And then if you don't want him to come over, you go, die, vaffanculo stronzo. That means go away.
And you know what? I don't even have to understand the actual translation, but the tone of your voice said everything.
Yeah, I told that to Bill Clinton, and he said, oh, nobody said that to me lately.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So after getting those parts in movies, did you get in any other like live theater or television parts or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a good resume. Criminal Minds and Ugly Betty and Joan of Arcadia and Soul Plane, the Wayans Brothers. I have a nice resume. I'm not a big deal, but I've been working the whole time.
Oh, fantastic!
I played a judge on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you're raising kids, it's hard to stay in the game, but I tried. I kept going, and people have been very kind to me. And you know, some things I got on my own, and some things John would say, "Hey, what about her?
Oh, yeah.
give her something to say."
That can definitely, that's a big help.
Yeah,
Because that's kind of a brutal business, right? I mean, show business, would you say? I mean, when I say brutal, I mean sometimes, because I had friends that are actors, they're sitting around waiting for the phone to ring, and sometimes it
well,
doesn't
that's a
happen.
terrible thing.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Right.
Create something.
Yeah.
So that's that, and so I become a filmmaker just based on that.
Oh, okay.
That there's, you know, you don't want to wait for the phone to ring. You want to make something happen, write something, create something. I'm doing documentaries now, so I have a documentary on Betty, and I'm planning to do one on John.
Okay.
And David Letterman's going to anchor the section on comedy, because they met in 1974 at the Comedy Store, and David was best man at our wedding.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's been a really good friend to the family.
Oh, that's wonderful
even
to
though,
hear.
you know, John has passed. And, you know, yes, show business is brutal, but if you're an actor and that's your gift, that you have to follow that.
Well, as they say, you take the bad with the good, right? I mean,
Yeah. And being an artist is no day at the beach.
absolutely.
But if that's what you do and that's what you know how to do, I haven't had a job since I was 21,
Oh, okay.
where I had to put the little thing in there, the time
The
card.
punch card.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody this morning about that, and they were just howling with laughter because, you know, I've always been a creative. I've always been looking for other ways to make it, and it can be tough. I mean, the first 8 years that John and I were married, we were struggling.
Yeah.
But we had fun. We went to the beach, and we did things that were free, and we ate McDonald's French fries and spaghetti. And
Well, that's the other thing to remember, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
not everything in life has to cost a lot of money in order to be enjoyable.
no,
To watch a sunset at the beach, for instance, or enjoy a scenic landscape or something like that in person can
or
be
to
very,
make a watercolor.
or to make a watercolor.
Yeah, I think we lose track of that.
Exactly. Sometimes we kind of get caught up in chasing, I like to say chasing our own tail kind of a thing.
And then the horrible truth is you can't take any of it with you anyway.
You can't take anything. Exactly. The older I get, the more I realize that. You know?
No U-Haul behind the hearse.
No, you. No, absolutely. So when it gets to the visual arts, did you and do you have a favorite medium? Like I know William Pajot, he was big on watercolors. Betye Saar discovered watercolors and loved that. But do you have any favorite medium?
For me, I love oils.
Oh, okay.
I love oils, even though it's tough because it doesn't dry for a year. You know, it's kind of tacky. And
Yeah.
I went one time to Monet's garden
Okay.
on a trip. I saw it in the back of some artist magazine.
Uh-huh.
You could go to Giverny and stay for a week in a bed and breakfast and paint in the garden. So I did that, and I had a lot of fun with that. And you had to bring your brushes and your paints, and
Okay.
they had canvases there for you.
They had canvases.
They
really?
had canvases there for you, and then they would hold them for 6 months to 7 months until they were closer to dry, and then ship them out to you.
Wow.
So I had a lot of fun, and I met a guy, Stan King. I don't even know if Stan is still alive, but we had so much fun. He goes, "Hey, kid, did you have fun? Let's do it again." And so then the following year, we took a house in Grasse
Oh.
in the south of France,
Okay.
and the dining room had these open-air windows, and we just sat in the dining room and painted the 29 colors of green that are in Provence.
No kidding.
Yeah, and so that was a lot of fun. That was a
Sounds
lot
like
of
it.
fun.
What an opportunity.
Yeah, and then in the early 2000s, I was traveling with a friend, Debbie McFerrin, who's married to Bobby McFerrin, the wonderful singer.
Oh, yeah.
And I had 2 phone numbers, an actor and a painter. And so I called the actor, and he wasn't home.
Okay.
So then I called the painter, and it turned out to be Tony Ramos. And I said, hey, I'm down in Aix-en-Provence at the Deux Garçons. Won't you come down and have a drink with me? And he goes, oh, madam, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted. CCH Pounder's been here with her mother, and I've got to lie down. You got any paintings for sale? He said, I'll be right there. So I always tease Tony because that night I bought a piece on paper and Debbie bought a piece on paper.
Okay.
We didn't have all the money, but we had enough to put deposits down on the pieces, and he offered to bring them to America on his next trip. So I said, from the day you met me, you've been making money. And then he encouraged me to open a little gallery. And so in 2005, I think I opened Art Piece Gallery, which was in Burbank.
Burbank, okay.
And now, why would you open a gallery in Burbank? Because that was the only place where I could afford to buy the building.
Well, that's a good reason. I mean, that's very solid business sense right there.
Well.
And how long did you have the gallery as a gallery?
I think I had it up until 08, 09 when the economy was so tough.
I remember that.
You know.
That was painful.
And I used to always put out a nice spread, cheese, and, you know, one year I had lamb chops and shrimp. And John
my goodness.
John said, they're just coming over there to eat your shrimp. Shut that thing down. The shrimp eaters are all, you know.
Shrimp eaters.
That's what he called them, the shrimp eaters. And we had a beautiful first anniversary show, though, once we had been open a year. And Sidney Poitier was there, and Dr. Cornel West was there, and Bernie Casey. Remember Bernie?
I do remember Bernie.
And Sharon Stone was there, and Bill Withers. The famous Cat Williams was there.
Right. He's been in the news lately.
Yeah. Tony King. Remember Tony King,
I don't
the
remember
actor?
Tony King.
He became a Muslim, so he changed his name. But he did a film called Report to the Commissioner in the 70s with Vanetta McGee and some of the older folks. But anyway, we had a great night that night.
That's fantastic.
And we sold a lot of stuff. But then as it progressed into 08 and 09, we would have a reception and have 100 people, 200 people, and only sell one piece.
Right.
So John said, shut it down. And we held on to the building for a while, and my son lived in there and started his YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
J.D. Witherspoon. So
does he still have that?
He has 1 million followers on YouTube, but he doesn't still have my building.
Oh, okay. But he still has the
I
YouTube.
took my building back.
Oh, yeah.
When he turned 29 or something, I was like, okay, that's enough free rent. You could, go ahead. Go ahead with your forehead.
Yeah, you gave him a nice incubation period.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And his friends told him, too. Your mom, you get to work on your YouTube channel. We have to go to work. We have to pay rent. You know, but I love my kids, and they're both artists, so I wanted to give them a time to incubate, as you said, and to grow and to build up, you know, their abilities. Mm-hmm. My younger son is a singer.
Oh, is he? And will we have seen him perform anywhere, or is he active?
He's on all platforms, and he says, Mom, that's no big deal. But I think it is. He's on Apple Music, and he's on Spotify, but he doesn't use Witherspoon. He uses Trace Nova.
Trace Nova is his name.
Trace.
Do you happen to know how I'm just curious, how did he arrive at that name?
He was in school in London with one of his friends at Middlesex University. They were in a music program, and then they went on tour. They did some gigs in Azerbaijan and Moscow and Lisbon, and they did kind of a Coachella thing in Porto where they had 10,000 people, and he was the keyboard player. And so they were managing, his manager was managing my son for a while, and they came up with a Trace Nova. And to his credit, he didn't want to be out there using Witherspoon and not, you know.
Earning the recognition.
Yeah,
on his own?
he wanted to start from scratch.
Yeah.
So my other son, J.D., uses Witherspoon.
Okay.
But John told him, if you're going to go out and be a comic, you better be funny using my name.
Don't want to shame the name at all.
Don't go out there and not be funny, boy.
Oh, no, absolutely.
But he's doing fine. He's doing good.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
And so you just have the 2 sons, is that it?
Just two hands, 2 kids.
2 hands, 2 kids.
That's all I could do.
Very good. Well,
When I meet a woman with a 3rd kid, I go, what were you thinking? You didn't have a television?
I love it.
Yeah.
So back to oil painting. So are you still creating oils as we speak?
I have a studio in Topanga Canyon. I don't think I have oil paints out there right now. I think I have mostly acrylic. But if you're saying my favorite medium is the oil.
Is oil, right.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of artists also like the fact that it does dry slowly, only because they can kind of still manipulate it to their satisfaction before it dries and it's too late, like with acrylic.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
That's true. I've been spending time in the south of France, and so that's where I would probably pick the oils back up.
Yeah.
Would be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So aside from the acrylic and oils, is there any other medium you play around with?
I like ceramics. I've been doing some little ceramics, but that's tough. That's tough. I don't have a kiln. So I have to go to like a clay play or someplace like that.
Oh, I see.
To do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But most of my energy these past few years has been working on the films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
By the way, so let's delve into that if you don't mind. So, are you doing a film on Elizabeth Catlett or having?
No, it's only the one on Betye.
Oh, only the one on Betye.
Yeah, I had one before that on a young fashion guy in New York called Curtsy Mister.
Okay.
And that went around. That did 19 festivals and won 4 awards in 2017.
Oh, okay.
Then we got into a little legal scuffle. And then I worked on Betty's thing for 8 years. When she got the McDowell Award, I was up there with her just kind of traveling as a companion. And I said, somebody should be filming this. So the early footage is me holding the Canon 5D like, so that made it in though. And then over 8 years, she got all these awards and the LACMA show and the MoMA show and the Brooklyn Museum show. And I hired a crew. So we got the footage and it's straight. And I'm very proud of it. It's 1 hour and 17 minutes.
And if anybody's interested in seeing it, how would they see it?
They can see the trailer on YouTube. It's called Betye Saar, Ready to be a Warrior. But we're in the middle of negotiating for distribution.
And would that be in the theaters or streaming or probably both, maybe, I'm guessing?
I don't know. You know, if you want to be nominated for an Oscar, you have to be in the theaters.
I see.
But I think we'll probably go, right now we're talking to PBS Masters. Stanley Nelson is helping me.
Okay.
Who did the wonderful piece on the Black Panthers and does a lot of stuff. I think he did the Miles Davis piece. I'm not sure. But he's looking at it, and then there's some people at Submarine that are looking at it. But, you know, that's all confidential stuff. You have to find your home. Right. You know, it could end up at A&E.
Okay.
I always thought it would go to HBO, but the wonderful woman, Sheila Nevins, who used to pick all the HBO documentaries, she's moved to MTV. Oh. So we'll submit to her. You submit to all the different platforms at the same time and wait. Hopefully to get a little bidding war.
Yes, right, of course. That's
so we're right at that point. We've done the Museum of Modern Art showed it first.
Okay.
And then the Bronze Lens, Jeff Friday's American Black Film Festival in Miami showed it. The mayor showed it last year for Black History Month.
Mayor of LA?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Karen Bass.
Okay.
Yeah, she showed it. So it's been shown 4 or 5, and the New Orleans Film Society has shown it.
Oh, okay.
So it has been screened a few times.
Okay.
But that's enough now. We want to get some of our money back.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
If possible.
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. And I'm wishing you all the best on that score. And I think everybody should. I haven't seen it, but I respect Betye Saar.
Did you see this trailer? Did I send you the trailer?
You might have, but I don't think I've seen it yet.
Huh.
Sorry, I didn't get a chance to see it yet.
Well, we have John Legend in there.
Okay.
Who's one of her biggest collectors.
Okay.
And then we have Miss Tina Knowles Lawson, who's also a big art collector.
Right.
Have you met Tina?
I have met Tina, yes.
Yeah, she has a Henry Osawa Tanner in her collection, and she has a lot of John Biggers.
Oh, my goodness.
She's really a big collector.
Oh, okay.
And then she talks to her son-in-law.
I know.
And he buys things.
Yes.
Basquiat.
Oh, my God. Right.
You know?
We should say that Beyonce is her daughter. And,
oh, yeah, right. And Solange.
Right.
In the film, she says she talks to Jay-Z about what to buy. She goes, but I don't have his budget.
And I don't think many people do, right?
No, it's hard to have the same budget as Jay-Z.
But that's good to hear, though. That's good to hear that they're because it's an ecosystem when it comes to the arts, visual arts, right? I mean, there's the collectors, there's the artists themselves, and the various institutions.
Well, I think it's really important to support the artists,
Yes.
because they don't want to be painting in the dark.
Right.
Or painting in silence. Somebody has to come in and say, this is good. I like this. Let me help you.
And I just want to amplify that point, though, because it's not just the money. Obviously, we all need the money to survive and pay the bills and to have a good time.
We need the emotional support.
But you also need that, right?
Yeah.
The affirmation and the encouragement and
You're
so
not
forth.
crazy. You're really good.
Yeah.
You're not on the wrong path.
Right.
Yeah. So on that note, I have a slice of my collection on view right now at Band Devices.
Okay. And can you tell the audience where that is, Band Devices?
Band Devices is on West Adams, 5351 West Adams, and it's an African-American owned concern.
Okay.
Terrell Tilford is head of he used to be Tilford Art Group, but I think it's a different name now. He has 2 or 3 partners, and they've been working with the Lakers organization on the emerging artist called In the Paint.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that?
I am. Actually, I went to one of the receptions where LeBron showed up and some of the other players.
Yeah, and they have different levels of artists. They have Michael Massenberg, and then they have some newer artists that are just emerging and just coming out of school.
Yes.
And it's a kind of symbiotic idea to introduce art to the players and get them to start supporting the arts and to think about spending some of their money on art.
Yeah.
Who's LeBron's agent? Chris Paul?
No.
Chris.
It's a different name. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But
He bought a Tony Ramos from me.
oh, did he?
Yeah. What's it? Rich Paul.
Oh, okay.
Rich Paul.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. But he came to me through a decorator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I still sell art from the house from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. And it's encouraging to know because I know that Grant Hill and Bernard King, these are players that are no longer active in the NBA, but they were stars in their time, are famous for collecting art. It's really nice to see.
Well, Grant is from Washington, D.C., isn't he?
Right.
And his mom's an attorney.
Yeah, and I tell you, and his dad was Calvin Hill, the running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
Here's another small world moment. They lived close. My brother used to live in Reston, Virginia, and they were neighbors.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a little small world moment
Well,
there.
I admire Grant Hill, and he has a great collection, doesn't
Does
he?
have a wonderful collection. There's a catalog that they came out with some years ago.
Does his collection travel?
It used to. I'm not sure about at present, but it used to.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Interested in that. CCH Pounder is my good buddy.
Okay.
And so her collection travels.
Yeah.
And it helps to generate excitement for the art, and I think she gets a little licensing fee or something.
Right.
But it's also good for the audience. You know, they get a chance to see what you're collecting.
Exactly.
I always say I didn't buy any fancy shoes or any fancy purses. I bought art.
Yeah.
And John was very gracious, in allowing me to be the one to choose a lot of the stuff. And he made some good choices. He bought an Ernie Barnes directly from Ernie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
A nice little sum for it.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Because Ernie was alive.
Yeah.
And then we both were at Betty's. Betty used to have a Christmas sale for her friends because she was always upset that a lot of her work didn't end up in the African-American community.
Right.
So if you got invited to that sale, that was an opportunity to buy something.
Oh, okay.
At a reasonable rate. So that's how we acquired this piece.
Oh, it's an excellent piece too, by the way.
And John liked it because of the soap, that old piece of yellow soap that's in there.
Oh, okay.
He had
Did that remind him of his early
childhood? He's from a family of 11 kids.
11 kids.
So you can imagine that soap went down quick.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. We used to say they ate chicken and dumplings, mostly dumplings. Yeah, he grew up in Detroit and in the same church as the Winans.
Oh, no kidding.
So the Winans had 10 kids and the Witherspoons had 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he said they used to, Papa Winans used to pluck him in the back of the head and say, "Wake up, boy," at the service. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So where was he in the 11? Was he the middle?
John was number 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. His brother William wrote music for Motown. He wrote What Becomes of the Brokenhearted.
Oh my God, that song. I mean, I remember that song. Yeah.
Well, John saw him live his whole life and end up with a small house and a small Cadillac and some platform shoes. So he said, I'm not going to end up like that, honey. We got to do better than that. So, John was a hard worker and a great provider.
Well, and not only that, I mean, I've seen him in some of the movies he was in, and he was like a standout.
Yeah, he's a scene stealer.
Oh, he's super funny.
Call him the milkman because he would milk it. Yeah.
Milkman.
Yeah, he was something else. We were married for 32 years.
32 years.
And we dated for a year, and then he wanted me to move in, live together. And I said, no, living together doesn't lead to anything but more living together. So he said, okay. Well, if you can plan a wedding with what I have in the bank, go ahead. I said, that's your proposal, honey? And I said, what you got in the bank? Donut.
Zero.
So we called David Letterman and told him we wanted to get married, and we thought we could make a small, intimate wedding for about $3,000.
Uh-huh.
And an envelope came the next day under the door from Dave for $3,000.
Oh my goodness!
And we paid him back. It took us a while, but we paid him back. He laughed so hard. He goes, "You're the only person that ever paid me back." And we said, "Well, we don't know when we might have to come over again
and borrow one more time."
So he was really nice about it.
That's a fabulous story. I love that. Yeah.
So,
how did you guys meet? You and John.
This is so funny. We worked on a film for Warner Brothers. It was called Kidnapped. The lead actor was David Naughton, who had been the werewolf in London.
Okay.
And so I played undercover detective, and I was on the film for 2 weeks. I think I had co-star billing, and John played a pimp. He had one day, and it was the 80s, and so Whoopi Goldberg was doing so good. I said, I'm funny. I'm funny. I'm going to do stand-up too. So he was supposed to help me with my stand-up.
Okay.
And he said, I'm going to help you, little girl. Stand right here. Don't move. I'll tell the jokes.
That was his tutoring.
Uh-huh. And we went to something for Brandon Tartikoff. I don't know if you remember Brandon.
Brandon Tartikoff, yeah. He's the big producer, NBC, right?
Yeah, he was head of NBC. It was a sit-down dinner. Tim Reed and Daphne invited us.
Right.
And we were by the kitchen. And I thought, I don't like this guy. He's got the bad seats. So we went home, or he took me home. I was living in a little guest house in Hancock Park. And, I had these 2 kittens. And when you have cats, there's a night when you got to change the kitty litter. Because it's just
too much.
Ammonia in the room, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in my formal dress and everything. And I go, I got to go get kitty litter. So he says, I'll go get it for you. I said, you'll go get me kitty litter in your tuxedo? He said, yeah, sure, I'll go get it. So he comes back with this big bag of kitty litter and a bag of apples. And I go, kitty litter and groceries. Thank you so much. And I kissed him. And he goes, soft. I said, yeah, it's like that all over. Good night. So then he started wooing me and inviting me to the movies and stuff. And we had fun.
Excellent.
We had a lot of fun, He was older. He was a little older than me, but he didn't seem older. I think I was 30 and he might have been 42, but he seemed like he was 38 or 36, and he was always very vibrant and playing tennis. And we would work out together. We'd walk around Hazeltine Park. And so I didn't really notice him being a little bit older than me until maybe I was 50 and he was 62. I thought, I don't think I noticed it at all.
Oh, okay.
I was so surprised when he died. He kind of dropped dead.
Really?
Yeah, it was massive stroke. So we didn't have any warning.
Wow. Was he at home at the time?
He was home. Oh. He was home. He was packing to go to a gig.
He was packing to go to a gig. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a way to go.
Wow.
Yeah. Some people want to have a long goodbye.
Right.
And some people are just, see ya.
Yeah.
So he lived a full life. He had a good time, and he accomplished a lot. So I'm proud of him.
Yeah, as well you should be. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think our collection is like an interesting view on his life. Like you think he's all fun and games and jokes, but he was also a serious collector.
I think that's a great example for a lot of folks, not even just folks that are in the entertainment industry, just anybody.
Yeah.
I think that's a good path to go down right away, just because what motivates a person to collect, right? And the benefit of it, it's not just directly benefiting the artist, but it's the person that's investing in it. They get to live with the piece and maybe learn from it or get inspired from it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then other people that visit them and can have the chance to see it, that's a benefit to them. Would you agree?
Yeah. The first thing John bought was a Picasso, a lithograph.
Okay.
And we used to joke, he says, I know about art. I know how to spell Picasso. Starts with an F, doesn't it? I think he was, because I was so interested in art, he wanted to let me know, I know about art too. Look, I'm going to buy this. And my mom was there. They were visiting or something. And we were walking down Rodeo Drive. And so we went into Gallery Michael and bought this. It's called The Smoker.
Okay.
And so, kind of a knee-jerk reaction, buy the things you've heard of. And then as we grew as collectors and we met interesting people, and I knew about Betye before I met her, and I met Tony, and then I met John Otterbridge, and so we expanded our collection to include more African Americans, and I still like the Picasso things that we were able to get.
Yes.
And I found one in Paris one time on that little Rue de Beaux-Arts, and I felt like it was a good deal. So we have four different Picassos. And then John saw in the LA Times, writer out of work selling Rembrandt, pulled from the plate posthumously. So we have a little Rembrandt.
Okay.
And then we have a lot of Tony Ramos, a lot of Betye, a lot of Allison. Okay. Allison Saar.
Allison, who is Betty's daughter.
Don't sleep on Allison.
Right.
She's a comer. She's something else.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't know that she's Betty's daughter. Oh. I don't know that hasn't been a big part of her story.
They did a tribute for Samela Lewis at Claremont, and Allison gave a wonderful talk about how Samela was so important to her as a mentor and an example to follow and so forth.
Yeah, Samela.
Yeah.
I hate I didn't get to make something about her.
Yeah.
There should be a film about her.
Right.
Because she's a writer and a historian.
And at a time when there weren't a lot of, now there's a proliferation of exhibition catalogs and coffee table books and so forth. But in the beginning.
Well, her book on Barthet.
Yeah, big, thick book, yeah.
Beautiful.
Wonderful
Just
book.
beautiful. And he was almost completely forgotten.
Yeah. And she did the book earlier on Elizabeth Catlett. And, of course, she did the Art African American. And then with Ruth Waddy, she did those Black artists on art books in the very early stages of.
And she made art.
And she made art.
Her art is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a wide range. I mean, she can paint abstractly. And then I was kind of surprised. I saw a portrait she did that was very tight and really nice.
Yeah.
In other words, it wasn't expressive. It was more, academic, I guess you could say.
Realism.
Yeah. But it's very nice. It showed her range. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think those ladies are the pillars of,
Yeah, they were serving multiple duties at the same time. They weren't just creating art.
Yeah.
They were helping to promote it and to educate the public about it.
I would like people to know about all of them. Elizabeth Catlett, Samela Lewis, Betye, you can go down the list.
Yeah.
And Mildred Howard, who's still practicing up in San Francisco.
Yes.
Are you familiar with her work?
I am familiar with her work. Yeah.
The young Talita Long,
Mm-hmm.
Nia Long's mommy. She's in the dark painting, hoping somebody will notice her.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how the institutions are just kind of at the tip of the iceberg.
Coming around.
Yeah, of starting to document the African American women who are painting.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of the men too.
Yeah.
I have a little piece by Ed Burrell.
I'm not familiar with him.
He was, he's still alive.
Okay.
And kind of a revolutionary and talking about, the humor in racism through the 70s and 80s. And did he go to Cal Arts? Was he out of Art Center? I'm not sure. He went to Chouinard.
Oh, okay.
That's where I got it, because I was at an auction for Chouinard when they were thinking about reopening the school.
Okay.
And I bought it because nobody was bidding on it.
No way.
Yeah.
And was it abstract? What was the style?
It's kind of sculpture.
Oh, sculpture.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, political sculpture.
Ah.
Yeah. I don't have it here to explain it to you, but it's a pair of lips.
Oh, okay.
Is
it going where I'm thinking it might be going? Okay.
Kind of Bojangles.
Okay.
And then there's a photo of him wearing the lips.
Oh, really? Was that a part of the display, or
that's part of the piece?
Part of the piece itself.
Yeah, and the political statement.
Right.
We're always tap dancing and singing.
Yeah. Right. That's kind of a sore spot.
But part of our story.
But part of the story.
Part of our story.
For sure. Absolutely. Can't pretend like it's not, right?
No, you can't get away from the facts.
Right.
People don't like facts anymore.
It doesn't seem like it. It's like,
there are some facts.
Right. Yeah. And so is there a common thread in your collection? I mean, I'm listening to you describe some of the pieces, and it seems like you got Picasso, Rembrandt, but also Betty, and the styles are different. Is there?
I think it's more figurative than abstract.
Okay.
But I do have a few abstracts. Charla Perrier.
Oh, yeah, I know her.
Charla, and one.
She's related to Martin Perrier.
Yeah, through marriage.
Through. Oh, is that what it was?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got a divorce now.
Okay.
But she's still using that.
Maybe I shouldn't.
It's okay. Charla's very talented, and she teaches at USC now.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And then Oliver Nolan. Do you remember Oliver? He's a product of Otis.
I don't recall him.
He does abstract, and he also does neon.
Oh, okay.
He's in there. Danny Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
Russell Simmons' brother.
Right.
I have a nice abstract from him.
Okay.
I have a big John Otterbridge that he made me get.
He made you?
He said, that's yours. Start paying on it.
I miss John. He's a wonderful guy.
He was great.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, I have a lot of Tony Ramos.
Yeah.
A lot of Allison, some Leslie. I happen to think Betye Saar is the greatest draftsman in the family.
Okay. And she's Betty's other daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she showed at Jan Baum.
Oh, okay.
And now she's somewhere on La Cienega. I can't call it. But I think we bought what we loved. I like my art to wink at me.
Ah, okay.
I see your art winking at you
Yeah.
here.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah. And so when I come downstairs in the morning, I like my art to kind of, hey.
I love that description. That's a good way of putting it.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
And just the fact of living with art.
Yes.
I think for my kids, and even for some of my kids' friends when they come into the house.
Yes.
It's really something. I grew up like that.
Yeah.
In Washington, my best friend was the daughter of Texera Nash. I don't know if you know Texera Nash.
I don't know.
She taught at Howard.
Okay.
And it was my first time seeing a big painting in a private home. She had this kind of painting of a cocktail party.
Oh.
And they were all African American, and somebody had a cigarette, and somebody had on a leopard coat, and there was a chaise lounge there.
Oh.
And her husband was Robert J. Nash. He was an architect.
Okay.
So it was kind of...
Was she the artist, by the way?
She was the painter.
Oh, okay.
But it was my first exposure to being in somebody's home where they had African-American art on display.
Okay.
And then my cousin, Dr. Carlotta Miles, she has a Romare Bearden, and she used to take art as payment sometimes for working with a client.
Oh, I've had clients, the son of a dentist once came to me, and his dad would take, did John Biggers, and would take works of art as payment for his dental services. Same thing.
Dr. Banks did that, didn't he?
Yeah, Charles White was famously, a lot of the pieces that are out there belong to professionals that he exchanged his art for their services.
Do you have one of those?
I don't. I wish I did. Oh my God! As a matter of fact, the one I used to see all the time was at the Golden State Mutual Insurance Company. That Harriet Tubman piece that Charles White did. Oh my God, I can still see that piece in the lobby.
Is it worth $3 million now?
Probably, but it was purchased for $300,000 at auction when they auctioned portion of that collection. And it was a steal, in my opinion. Whoever got it for $300,000, that was a big time steal. Even back then, that was some years ago. But he was so amazing as a draftsman. Speaking of draftsmen, and John too, John Biggers as well. Same thing.
Well, I knew Aurelia.
Aurelia Brooks.
About that.
Yeah, yes. Who helped found the California African American Museum in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I grew up with her son Randy.
Yes.
Yeah, at Highland Beach.
Highland Beach.
Do you know Highland Beach?
I heard about it. Right? Isn't that part of where black people lost their property or something like that? Is that? Am I right about that?
Well,
we got it seized.
It was a black beach.
Black Beach, right?
Yeah, it's near Arundel.
Okay.
On the Chesapeake.
Oh, I'm thinking of something totally different.
Oh, here in California.
Here in California.
No, this is Black Beach. It's still there.
On the East Coast. In Maryland?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Near Annapolis.
Okay.
But it's mixed now. Black Beach has Vanilla Swirl.
What we should actually say, by the way, because there were portions of Santa Monica Beach. It's funny. So a long time ago, I used to do benefit receptions for various charitable organizations, and there was a group in Santa Monica called the Santa Monica Gems. And I always remember this because Santa Monica itself, you said earlier, why would you get a gallery started in Burbank? In your case, you bought the building, it was affordable, et cetera. In my case, I was lucky. I got this small space in Santa Monica, 4% black population in an African-American art gallery. I was wondering, had I lost my mind? Yeah, but there was actually, a lot of people don't realize this, but the Museum of, that Smella started, the Museum of African-American Art that's in the Crenshaw Baldwin Hills Plaza as we speak, was in Santa Monica. To begin with, and then also there was the vibrant black community that this GEMS organization represented, and they had this thing where they were giving scholarships to young people that were in high school that were interested in going to college but didn't have the funds necessarily. Wow. So 100% of the funds that we raised went directly, and that's the thing, people weren't drawing big salaries. Most of the money, 99% of the money went to the actual scholarships, which was great. But the eye-opening thing for me was how the long history of the black community from the late 19th century that got decimated when the Santa Monica Freeway got built.
Right.
So they were trying to figure out what property to take, and that was the property that belonged. And it decimated the black community, which was larger than it was back in the 90s when I had this reception. Mm-hmm. At any rate, they were telling me stories about the beach and that there were no signs up, but it was understood that this section of the beach was for the blacks, that section was for the whites, and if you were black, you didn't want to end up in the white beach. Mm. So I only say that because if it was a black beach, it's not necessarily because they were trying to exclude anybody. It was just that they had no option.
They were trying to at least have some recreation.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my long speech about.
Well, all of these stories need to be documented.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are being forgotten.
Yeah. And
even my kids are not sure in the timeline. My son said, "Mommy, are you there when the dogs are there and the hoses?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I'm not there."
Right.
That's before me.
Right.
But I remember my parents going to the March on Washington.
My mom too.
I remember my dad leaving with a little lawn chair and a picnic bucket.
Right.
And they went down there, and I must have been 6 or 7 years old, 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, that's 63, 64.
63, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm born in 54.
Yeah, I was born.
I'm 9.
I was born in 54 too, and my mom did the same.
You look good.
Thank you. And you as well.
You're holding on.
I'm hanging, trying my best. It's a struggle, but I'm hanging in there.
Right. Yeah.
But no, just like you, I can recall that. I can recall. And my mom was present when Dr. King made this speech. That was pretty incredible to think about. And like you, though, I didn't ever saw the dog snarling or anything like that, but there was a place, so I grew up outside of D.C. in Maryland, and there was a place where we used to go to get that soft serve ice cream, but they served not only that, but other things as well. But they had color-only signs. You couldn't be seated in there. You could only get takeout.
Wow.
And you couldn't get the takeout from anything other than the black colored-only takeout window. That was the way it worked.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
So I did actually see that firsthand.
I saw it in North Carolina. Yeah. We'd take the bus, the Greyhound, down to my grandmother's house, and there would be a colored only restroom.
Right.
At the bus station.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. All in your face kind of a thing.
Yeah. So the kids, they don't know. They're standing on our shoulders, but they don't know how hard it was.
Yeah.
They don't know how hard it was to stand.
Right.
You know, my dad worked on Brown versus Board of Education.
Oh, wow.
He was in the support team.
Okay.
You know, and he had gone to school with Thurgood Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
He was behind him in law school at Howard.
Oh, okay.
So I knew a lot of it. And at my parents at the dining room table, it was current events.
Same thing.
At 6 o'clock.
Same thing.
And you better be able to support your theory.
Oh, yeah, same thing here. We had a very similar experience.
If you piped up, you better know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, what is your research? What is your source?
Or you could be full of regrets for opening your mouth, right?
Big ears. Nobody's talking to you. Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but I think one reason I brought up Catlett is because didn't you shoot a film in Cuernavaca, Mexico?
Oh, yes. But it didn't have anything to do with Elizabeth Catlett.
No, the only reason I say that, I know the film didn't, but Cuernavaca does because she lived there.
Yes.
And I was wondering, did you ever have any exposure to her when you were in Cuernavaca?
No, she had already left.
Oh.
I knew she had been there, but
Oh no, she was still there. I went
in the 80s.
Yeah, because
she was there.
she was my first exhibiting artist, and in order for her to exhibit in my gallery, she wanted me to come to Cuernavaca.
Did you go?
I did.
Where did you stay? At Las Mañanitas?
I stayed at her home.
Oh,
with her. Beautiful. She and her husband, Francisco Mora, or as his friends call him, Pancho. And so she was sizing me up the whole time. And it wasn't until the night before I was supposed to leave that she agreed to do it. Yes.
She's tough.
She was tough. And she didn't mind telling you how she felt.
No.
And at the time, part of her, and I totally understand, at the time, she had had a bad experience with some dealer. She didn't name the dealer, but the dealer was in Chicago. I knew that much. And so she wasn't in the mood to kind of cook up with some dealer who was just starting out for the first time, even though I had a letter of reference and all that.
So I did a film there in 1985, I think. Yeah. But I'm not.
She was definitely there in 1988. I don't know about that.
Yeah, we stayed at the Hotel Cortez or something outside of town.
Okay.
But I wouldn't have had any introduction to her.
Yeah.
I was fighting. That was a film. It was called Jungle Warriors. And we were fashion models, and somehow we ended up in the jungle, and some coke dealer was holding us captive, and I had not agreed to show my breasts. But
they wanted you to?
Yeah, but I said, you're not paying me enough money for that. I'll show you my breasts when Robert De Niro's here, but not before.
Was he in the movie?
No, Dennis Hopper was in the movie.
Oh, okay.
And Alex Cord and Nina Van Pallant, who had been involved with the Pentagon Papers or something.
Oh, okay.
And Ernst von Teumer was the director who had worked with Marlene Dietrich.
Wow.
And I had 5 weeks on a film, so I thought, I'm going to be a movie star.
So you were down there for 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can't drink the water.
Right, Montezuma's Revenge or whatever.
Yeah, so I held it together. And you don't eat the tomatoes because the tomatoes are full of the water.
I didn't think of that, by the way.
Yeah, but there was a beautiful hotel inside Cuernavaca called Las Mañanitas. Did you ever go there?
I never went there. She took me to a restaurant. The name escapes me.
Yeah,
a very nice restaurant.
Beautiful restaurant. Beautiful hotel and restaurant.
Maybe it was connected to that.
Yeah, were there birds walking around the grounds?
There was, and there was a big sculpture that was in one of the courtyards.
That's Las Mañanitas.
Okay.
So when we were being fancy from the set of this film, we'd go to Las Mañanitas because they had blue cheese dressing. But anyway, I at that time in my life, I was maybe 28 years old or 29.
Okay.
I didn't know that much about Elizabeth Catlett at that point.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just curious because Cuernavaca rang a bell. That's no reason I brought it up.
No, I was happy to get that job.
Yeah, I bet. And 5 weeks. I mean, that's awesome.
That's a real job.
That's a real job.
And then I was supposed to go from there to do the Cotton Club, but something happened to that job. I didn't get it. They never filmed my scene or something. But
really?
I met Francis Ford Coppola and I met Gregory Hines.
Oh, okay.
I went through the interview process, but I never ended up working.
Oh, okay.
But it's okay. All of that stuff adds up to being here with you today.
Which I feel so honored.
Aw.
Seriously.
My dad would say Mutual Admiration Society.
Thank you.
Now in session.
Thank you. And I should tell everybody that today, even though this won't air today, but we're filming this on February the 1st, the beginning of Black History Month, by the way. And you graciously came down. It was raining all day today. I just want everybody to...
It was a monsoon
situation. And oh, my goodness, I just feel grateful that you braved all that weather condition to come down here. So thank you. Thank you again.
I'm excited to be invited here. I know my friend CC's been here.
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of other people. Yarnay, hasn't he done
Yarnay
one?
was here. Michael Massenberg was a guest.
Yarnay is in Botswana now.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, he's on a Fulbright.
Oh, congratulations to him from here.
He's going to be in Africa for a year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, so as a small footnote, my wife and I and daughter went on a safari in Botswana. It was the most incredible experience I've ever had.
How long ago?
That was just this past summer.
Oh, well, I want to do that.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it, and I can give you, once we finish this, I can give you all the information.
Hook up.
Give you a hookup, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a wonderful experience.
We're waiting until Yarnay gets situated, and then we're all going to go visit him.
Oh, that would be great. I think you will.
I'm hoping to go with Cece.
Oh, excellent. Yeah,
we went to Senegal 2 years ago to the Biennale. Yeah, and Yarnay had a beautiful exhibit about Lac Rose, the rose lake that they harvest the salt from.
Yes.
Yeah.
During his talk with me, he mentioned it.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful exhibit. And then who else? We met so many wonderful people, and I got a chance to go to Black Rock, which is Kehinde Wiley's foundation.
Oh.
He has a beautiful place there for emerging artists.
In Senegal?
Yes.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Magnificent.
Oh, wow.
On the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
and it was Cece's husband who found the land.
Oh, wow.
That he built it on.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's an important thing.
Yeah.
If you're a filmmaker or a painter or a sculptor, you can apply every year for that scholarship and go there, and they'll pay your way.
Oh, really? And it's called?
Black Rock.
Black Rock.
It's Kehinde's charitable arm.
Oh, wow. That's very, very cool. I think that's a great thing that he did. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I have a tiny foundation.
What is it?
Angela and John Witherspoon Family Foundation for the Arts. We give small grants if you're in an emergency.
I see.
So $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 grants.
I see.
But you got to have a real emergency.
Right.
It can't be, I need to finish my pilot. Or I want to go to the beach and finish my novel. It has to be, I'm getting evicted. I'm getting eye surgery. I'm sleeping in my car. I'm waiting on my meeting with Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
Things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's very good to know. Is that something they can find? People can find on the internet?
Mm-hmm. Angela and John Witherspoon Family Foundation.org.
Okay.
We usually raise between $30,000 and $40,000 a year, and we give it away.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, give it away.
How do you raise it? You give like a
I give
event?
A comedy show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the Catalina Bar and Grill every October.
So this coming October, there'll be another one.
Yeah, and Bill Bellamy usually anchors it. Last year we had Marsha Warfield.
Oh, wow.
Marla Gibbs, we gave her a big trophy for all of her work in comedy. Next year we're going to honor George Wallace. So some of the older guys that haven't gotten their flowers.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's
and I
fun.
love his comedy, by the way, George Wallace.
He's hilarious.
Very funny.
He's hilarious. And then we would have done Paul Mooney.
But he passed away.
Passed, yeah. So we did some things for his family.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and it's just a way. I was raised like that. My Aunt Rosalie went to BU in the 1920, and graduated in 1924, magna cum laude.
Oh, wow.
And she went back to St. Augustine, and she did charity. She was a teacher. She was the English teacher at the Black High School and then eventually at the Integrated High School.
Okay.
But in her spare time, she opened a daycare center for the elderly, had them come there and play checkers and shuffleboard and get lunch. And then she opened a reading center for the young people. She was one of the points of light under Bush and also under Clinton.
I love that. It's giving back. I mean,
yeah, and we were give. We don't even say give back. Give
just
over, give forward, give to the side, but give, do something. And I feel like I was very fortunate John was very fortunate. We were one of the lucky ones.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
we didn't have to run home with our tails between our legs.
Because that's the thing. There's a lot of talented folks out there that nobody's ever heard of before, sadly.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And artists too.
Oh, my God. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
So
no question about it.
it's always important to reach over and help someone.
I really appreciate that. And I hope, so everybody out there, please be on the lookout in October, right?
Yeah.
And we'll definitely check it out.
We'll take the check anytime, but
Yeah, take exactly.
in October we really go and get it.
So by the way, if somebody did want to just donate just off the bat, I mean, could they do that?
Yeah.
How would
it's
they do
on
it?
there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm old fashioned. I accept checks.
Okay.
I got to get a QR code, they said.
Oh,
You know about that?
Right, in order for it to deposit or something without having to
Yes.
physically show up with the
Yeah,
check?
yeah. We've had lots of people support us. Maggie and Stan Lathan have been supportive. Cedric, the entertainer.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
Letterman.
Yeah.
Anthony Anderson has helped out. You know, quite a few people in the industry have been very, very kind. Bill Bellamy always comes and hosts the show for me.
Oh, okay.
And it's a testament to the love that's in the community for John, because nobody has a mean word to say about him.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful to hear. And so I'm encouraging everybody out there to not just wait till October, but go visit the website, make a donation.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I wish I could do more.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot, though. I really take my hat off to you. That's very wonderful.
Oh, thanks.
So anyway, thank you so much, Angela, for...
We done?
We're done.
We did an hour?
We did an hour. I told you it would go by quickly.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So I just greatly appreciate you sharing your perspective with us.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.